Stop. The scarf is poisoned. A black cleaner reveals a shocking secret that changed everything. Maya Sanders woke up early that morning, the sun still lying low while the world outside her window remained draped in a blanket of cool blue. With 2 young kids dragging heavy backpacks and busy schedules, she had a single focus: to provide them with a better life. As she sipped her coffee, her heart twisted at the thought of the wealthy families in Willow Creek, the community that thrived on affluence while she fought to put food on the table. Scraping by could barely afford her the right to exist amongst the bustling, petty dramas that painted her neighbors' lives. Minutes later, she slipped into her work clothes. The soft fabric felt comforting against her skin, but it was a reminder of her place to help. She made her way to the Whitmore residence, where polished marble gleamed under the chandelier's golden light. The family of 5 moved through life like a well-tuned machine, their wealth shining through the veneer of their perfect lives. As Maya meticulously dusted the shelves, her hand brushed against something soft and vibrant. It was a silk scarf, remarkably exquisite yet inexplicably cold. She unraveled it, her brow furrowing as she stumbled upon a hidden tag that detailed the toxic chemical it was made from. Her breath got caught in her throat. Was this a hazard lurking within their beautifully arranged display? Panic threatened to turn her thoughts to chaos and dread. The scarf, a piece of art to them, suddenly became a poison, a symbol of the unseen dangers masked by wealth. What if this revealed a hidden darkness beneath their polished surface? All at once, the cheerful laughter from the Whitmore children echoed in her ears, twisting into cries of distress. Maya felt her heart race. The weight of the discovery pressed against her chest like a hand of anxiety. She could rake the curtain away, exposing the truth for the safety of their community. But what would that mean for her own precious children? The call of justice warred with the instinct to protect. "Stay quiet, Maya," her mother's voice echoed in her mind, wise but fearful, rooted in a legacy of caution. The emotional rift rippled within her home. The whispers of distrust surrounded her like a fog, growing denser with every tentative step she took toward the truth. Friends turned distant, gods hidden behind the curtains as Maya's name fell like a stone in the pond of their community. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Shivers coursed through her as fear fought against a fire igniting deep inside. Could she really bring this to light? If she exposed the Whitmores, would she risk everything she had fought to hold together for her children? The urgency swirled like a cyclone, a crossroads beckoning her, desperate for direction. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, a heavy clang that shot through the silence. Maya's breath hitched, a surge of dread flooding her body. She opened the door to find her mother's worried eyes focused on her, as if sensing the chaos brewing. Behind her stood the Whitmores, smiles plastered on their faces, unaware that their false paradise teetered on the edge of destruction. "Stop! The scarf is poisoned," echoed in Maya's mind, the words wrapping around her heart, stifling her breath. Would she break the silence before it shattered her family? Would she find the courage to confront the truth buried beneath privilege? The stakes had never been so high. Maya's heart hammered in her chest as she stared at the Whitmores, their smiles so bright, so unaware. She felt the walls of their perfect world closing in around her, each second stretching painfully. This was not just her life on the line anymore, her children's lives were woven into this tangled web of wealth, deception, and danger. Can I help you?" she stammered, forcing a smile that barely reached her eyes. "Hi, Maya," Mrs. Whitmore said cheerfully, as if she hadn't just stumbled onto the brink of Maya's moral dilemma. "We were just in the neighborhood and thought we'd drop by to see how things were going." Maya's mind raced. Should she tell them? Would one simple truth shatter their world? Yet, her gaze flickered back to the scarf nestled between the porcelain treasures on the shelf, its menacing reality looming over her like a dark cloud. "Oh, things are good. You know, busy with the kids and all," Maya replied, hoping to deflect, to buy a moment. But inside, anxiety twisted her stomach as Mrs. Whitmore's gaze turned increasingly curious. "What do you think of my new decor?" Mrs. Whitmore gestured around the room. "Isn't it lovely? But I just can't figure out how to place this new silk scarf. It's one of my favorites." The words felt like poison dripping from her lips, and Maya's throat tightened. "You should be careful with it," she managed to whisper, regretting the moment the sound escaped her lips. But her tone dripped with fear, small yet sharp. "Careful?" Mr. Whitmore chuckled, clasping an arm around his wife. "It's just a scarf, Maya. A little luxury to brighten up the place." A lump formed in Maya's throat. The scarf was more than a trinket, it was an insidious threat to the very life she fought for. She felt as though she was teetering on a cliff, about to plunge into a chasm of impossible consequences. The walls were closing in, she was living a horror story in vivid color. She faltered, trying to find the words that would make someone understand the danger. But nothing came forth apart from the wave of doubt crashing over her. Suddenly, her mother's worried eyes flashed in her mind again. A soft reminder of the consequences of speaking out. But what if speaking up saved lives? What if she could be a hero? Mrs. Whitmore leaned in, her expression transforming from feigned concern to genuine curiosity. "Maya, are you okay? You look a little pale." Caught in the web of their concern, Maya felt the deep, gnawing fear stretching her nerves taut. "Actually, can I talk to you both, in private?" For just a brief moment, hope ignited within her. What if this was her moment to act? But as the couple exchanged puzzled glances, the doubt crept back into her chest. The fear of the uncertainty ahead made her want to retreat, to return to the safety of silence. Sure." Mr. Whitmore replied, his voice light, though something in his smile felt forced. With each step toward the living room, Maya felt the struggle deepen within her. It was as if the world closed in tighter with every move. Would this be the moment she'd expose the Whitmores to their own recklessness? Would she hold their secrets or expose the fragility of their golden life? As they settled on the plush sofa, she caught a glimpse of her fearless children playing in the sunlit yard outside. Their laughter rang like silver bells, piercing the weight of the moment. She took a breath, the tension knotting in her stomach. What I'm about to say could change everything, Maya thought, her heart racing as the truth flickered on the edge of her consciousness. But just as she opened her mouth, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, followed by her youngest's startled scream. Her heart sank. The stakes had just risen again, and this time, the danger wasn't a mere scarf. What if it's too late? She whispered, as dread washed over her. Desperation painted every thought. Would she still be able to find the courage to speak up? Would her children remain safe from the world of unspoken dangers? As her instincts screamed at her to act, Maya knew this was only the beginning of the battle. Ahead, and the real question lingered like a dark cloud: how far would she go to save those she loved? Maya's heart raced as she darted toward the kitchen, fear driving her every step. The sound of shattering glass echoed in her ears, already drowning out the soft laughter from the yard. Her mind churned with dark thoughts. What if her children had been hurt? What if it was her fault for letting the Whitmores come over? As she burst through the kitchen door, she found her youngest, Mia, standing wide-eyed next to a fallen plastic cup, the remnants of juice pooling on the floor. The sweet smell of fruit hung in the air, but it did little to reassure Maya. "Mama!" Mia cried, tears gleaming in her eyes as she pointed at the mess. "I didn't mean to." "It's okay, love," Maya breathed out, rushing to kneel beside her. She wrapped her arms around Mia, feeling the small frame tremble against her. "You're fine. You didn't do anything wrong. Just then, a voice broke in from behind. Maya, is everything all right? It was Mrs. Whitmore, concern etched across her face. It made Maya want to scream. How could everything possibly be all right? Just a little spill, Maya managed, her heart still thrumming. Nothing to worry about. She kept her voice steady, but her insides churned. How could they have come here, disrupting the fragile peace she tried so hard to maintain? Oh, no. Let me help. Mrs. Whitmore rushed to grab some paper towels from the counter. No, really, Maya said, a bit too sharply. I've got this. She stood up, brushing off bits of her anxiety as if they were crumbs clinging to her pants. Inside her head, the urgency buried deep in her gut clawed for escape. The weight of her unspoken truth hung heavier than ever. The reality of the scarf and the secrets it contained kept whispering in the back of her mind. Maybe this is a distraction, she thought. But even as she cleaned the floor, part of her couldn't let go of the pressing moment with the Whitmores. If she didn't find a way to act soon, everything she tried to protect might slip away. As she mopped up the mess, a sudden inspiration struck her. She glanced sideways at the scarf still perched on the shelf in the other room. It was more than a piece of silk, it was a symbol of everything Maya needed to confront. With Mia safely watching her favorite cartoon in the living room and the Whitmores still lingering in the kitchen, Maya took a breath, steadied herself, and decided to seize the moment. Actually, there is something I need to show you, Maya said, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She felt the tension cresting. Maybe now was the time to unveil the unpleasant truth. Really? Mrs. Whitmore asked, surprise flickering across her face. There was that curious glint in her eyes again. What is it? It's about the scarf and what it really represents, Maya declared, trying to keep her voice steady as she walked toward the living room. Each step weighed heavily, but she held on to the hope that somehow, her words might bring a different kind of clarity, a truth that could expose the dark underbelly of the lives they led. But as Maya reached for the scarf, another loud crash resounded, this time from the living room, followed by more screams. Her children's voices filled the air, laced with panic, and the familiar knot of fear returned, tightening around her chest. Maya! Mr. Whitmore's voice called from behind her. Her heart sank even deeper as dread coursed through her veins. What now? She thought in anguish. Was she doomed to watch her children's lives unravel in the shadow of lies? Just as she conjured the strength to push forward, Maya sensed a looming threat closing in. She glanced back at the Whitmores. She had to act, but she felt the ground shifting beneath her. What if revealing this truth cost her everything? As she fought against the rising chaos, she couldn't help but wonder, how deep did the secrets run? And would exposing them finally bring her family the safety they deserved? Maya's heart raced as she turned, the sound of her children's cries piercing through the moment like a siren. The urgency rushed through her body. She couldn't ignore the ache in her chest, the knowledge that something had gone terribly wrong. Maya, we need to check on them. Mr. Whitmore's voice was firm, pulling her back to the chaos. But everything in her screamed to retreat. If her hands shook from the weight of the scarf, how could she face whatever dangers lay at the threshold of that living room? Dread consumed her as she rushed past the Whitmores, her breath hitching in her throat. As she burst into the living room, an overwhelming sight greeted her. Her two older children, Ethan and Leah, stood atop the coffee table, fear-streaked faces and wide eyes focused on a sprawling tumble of toys, a broken lamp flickering dangerously by the window. "Get down!" Maya shouted, her voice laced with authority. With one swift motion, she reached out to steady Leah, who looked ready to leap in a panic. The moment Maya's hands clasped around her daughter's waist, a sense of grounding washed over them. "Mama!" Leah's voice cracked. The lamp fell. "I thought it was going to explode." "What happened?" Maya asked, glancing around, searching for the truth hidden in chaotic remnants. A toy dinosaur lay strewn by the fallen lamp, glistening with juice from a spilled cup only moments ago, the weight of uncrossed paths and moments lost tangled in the air. Before she could process anything further, Ethan ran to her, a storm of emotions dancing in his eyes. "I was trying to help Mia. But it just got out of control." Maya felt the flood of anger rising within her, but she choked it down. They were just kids, accidents happened. Yet the suffocating weight of secrets loomed like a dark cloud overhead. Things needed to be addressed, and now. Panic gnawed at her, blending with the sense that time was slipping through her fingers. "Maya, are they hurt?" Mrs. Whitmore asked as she entered, peering over her shoulder. Her concern felt genuine, yet Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister lurked beneath the surface. "No, we're fine." Mia's small voice piped up, her face still glistening with tears. "It was an accident." But as she spoke, Maya noticed the unease in her daughter's tone, a shadow of uncertainty that was all too familiar. The air grew thick with tension, a whirlwind of emotions swirling with uncertainty. Suddenly faced with caring for her children and the boundary she felt she was about to cross, Maya's breaths became quicker. Everything within her urged her to reveal what lay behind the scarf, yet here were her kids, fragile and entirely unaware, innocent in their youthful chaos. "Listen to me," Maya said urgently, facing her children. "We need to be careful. When you play, you have to think about everything around you." The weight of her own words pressed down on her, laced with irony. "Including, what's hidden?" The gravity of her previously unspoken truth hung over the room like a thunderstorm. Mrs. Whitmore's eyes narrowed slightly, the hint of more pressing questions brewing in her mind. It was a moment fraught with danger, her words teetering on a tightrope of revelation. "Maya, please, what's going on?" Mr. Whitmore pressed, genuine worry etched across his face as he glanced from the kids to her. She took a step back, halting the words that threatened to spill out. If she didn't act soon, she feared everything would shatter irreparably. Maya turned, searching for the scarf that felt like a lifeline amidst this storm of chaos. I need to show you. We all need to see what connects us. Or tears us apart." With each step back toward that shelf, a sense of clarity dawned. Tension snapped as she gripped the scarf tightly, feeling its silky texture against her palm. But an undercurrent of dread remained. The moment was pressing. The truth was waiting. And yet, would it satisfy her desperate need for clarity or plunge them deeper into uncertainty? What lay behind that scarf? And as whispers of the past beckoned her, would she gather the courage to finally confront the darkness that threatened her family? Maya's hands trembled as she reached for the scarf, the intensity of the moment wrapping around her like the fabric itself. The air was electric, charged with anxiety and anticipation. She could feel the children's eyes on her, their wide gazes flickering between fear and curiosity. Leah stepped closer to Ethan, and their small shoulders brushed together in a show of sibling solidarity. "Maya, please," Mr. Whitmore urged again, his voice steady despite the tumult around them. She could sense his fear, the palpable weight of worry pressed against the walls of the room. Yet she also felt the invisible tether of trust that stretched between them, a tie she couldn't afford to sever with half-truths. She hesitated, the scarf's fabric slipping slightly in her grip. Her heart thudded loudly in her chest, drowning out the scattered noises of the world outside. What she was about to reveal was a tangled mess of secrets, but they were her secrets, the ones that had woven their way through her life and now threatened to entangle her children. "Mama?" Leah's voice cut through the fog of her thoughts. It was small and trembling, laced with uncertainty. The innocence in her daughter's tone sliced through Maya's resolve, breaking it apart bit by bit. "What's wrong?" I. Maya stammered, trying to piece together the right words. "There's something about this scarf. Something that connects us to things we can't see." Mr. Whitmore took a tentative step closer, the weight of his concern almost tangible. "What do you mean? Is this about Mia?" As if on cue, Mia squeaked from her perch on the coffee table, "I just wanted to help. I didn't mean to break anything." The waterworks began anew, her cheeks soaked and red from crying. It broke Maya's heart to see her child in distress, and she swallowed the lump in her throat. "Shoo, sweetheart, it's okay," she soothed, forcing a smile despite her rising panic. "This isn't your fault." Maya took a deep breath, her mind racing. It was imperative to uncover what had lurked in those shadows. She needed to understand how this all fit together, and how long she could keep her children safe from the truth. A long time ago, she began slowly, her voice steadier now as she held up the scarf, this was a connection. A way to remind ourselves of what matters most. But sometimes, connections can also expose you to hidden dangers. The children watched her with wide eyes, an inescapable silence dance around them. The weight of her words hung in the air, echoing the past she had tried to bury. Each breathing moment became its own battle against the encroaching dread of what was to come. Suddenly, Ethan shifted nervously. "Are you scared, Mama? Is something going to happen?" Maya knelt down, meeting his gaze head-on. She could see his worry, a reflection of her own fears mirrored in those innocent eyes. "I am scared," she admitted quietly. "But we need to face it together, as a family." A small voice from behind made her look up. Mrs. Whitmore stood there, her demeanor stern, yet a flicker of fear danced behind her eyes. "Maya, please, you need to tell us everything. What lies beneath this scarf? What happened?" Maya's heart sank. The truth felt like a fragile glass, teetering on the edge of a precipice. "There are things I've hidden, things I thought I could protect you from. But I can't anymore." With trembling fingers, she lifted the scarf, revealing a worn, tattered piece of paper that had been hidden beneath it. As she unfolded it, the room seemed to hold its breath, filled with an excruciating tension. What secrets flourished in the shadows, ready to be unveiled? As she began to read, a hush fell over the room, and in that moment, she felt the weight of their future shifting. Would this mark the start of healing or unravel everything she held dear? "Is it a letter?" Leah whispered, her innocence evident. Maya clutched the paper tightly, the gravity of the moment pulling her down. "No, it's much worse than that." The realization hung heavily on her tongue. What unknown force had been shaping their lives all this time, and now, would the truth lead them to salvation or destruction? Just as she took a deep inhale to continue, a crash echoed outside, interrupting the charged moment, and Maya felt her heart drop again. What if the nightmare wasn't just in their past? What if it was just beginning? The sound of shattering glass jerked Maya from her thoughts, the ominous crash reverberating in her ears like a warning bell. The words she'd been about to speak evaporated into the frayed edges of her mind. The room filled with a rush of panic as she glanced towards the front window. Outside, a shadowy figure loomed, a flicker of movement that barely registered before disappearing behind the surrounding trees. "Mama!" Leah squeaked, her tiny voice breaking with fear. Ethan instinctively reached for his sister's hand, his grip tight, and Maya felt the ache of protective instincts surge within her. "Everyone, stay back!" Mr. Whitmore commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. He stepped closer to the window, peering outside, his brow knitted with concern. It might just be a branch breaking or a stray animal. But Maya's gut told her otherwise. A heaviness weighed down on her chest, a dread that made her skin crawl. The tattered piece of paper felt like it was burning a hole in her palm, holding secrets that were begging to be revealed, yet threatening to unleash something dark. "Let me see that," Mrs. Whitmore said, stepping closer, her expression unreadable. She reached out, and for a moment, Maya hesitated. This woman, who had been a steady presence in their lives, had been trusting her with half the truth for too long. "It's not just a letter," Maya said, voice trembling. It's a warning." She unfolded it in front of her, exposing the faded ink and strange symbols etched into the paper. "I thought I could ignore it. That these words wouldn't come back to haunt us. Mama, what does it say? Leah's eyes shimmered with tears, fear mingling with desperation. Taking a steadying breath, Maya began to read. When the scarf binds with blood, the darkness will come chasing after. Your fight is not over. The cycle will repeat unless. She paused, the last line gripping her throat as she felt the implications of each word. Unless you break it. What cycle? Mr. Whitmore pressed, urgency brewing in his tone. What do you mean? I don't know, Maya stammered, searching for clarity. But it feels like something has followed us. Like we're caught in a web that stretches back generations. This scarf, it's a link to something much darker. As the revelations began to sink into the room, tension mounted. The children looked at her with wide, frightened eyes, while Mrs. Whitmore's face paled, glancing nervously at Mr. Whitmore. Maya, if this is true, Mrs. Whitmore trailed off, her voice shaky. What do we do? Maya's heart raced as she looked around the room, the weight of all eyes resting on her. Another crash echoed from outside, this time closer, cutting through the silence like a knife. The air was charged with a sense of impending doom, and Maya's instinct to shield her children surged stronger than before. It's not just a warning, she said, resolution filling her voice. It's a call to action. Leah trembled but held on to Ethan's arm, bolstering each other as their mother unsheathed her determination. We can't run away from this. We have to face it. Together. Suddenly, a loud banging at the door shattered the moment, echoing in the tension like thunder. They all turned toward the door, the fearful anticipation hanging thick in the air. Who's there? Mr. Whitmore shouted, his jaw set. No response came, only the sound of shuffling footsteps just beyond the door. Maya's pulse hitched. Was this the danger that loomed over them, or something worse, lurking just beyond the threshold? As she stared into the darkened hallway, she felt the chilling weight of a choice looming before her. Would she open the door or protect her family from whatever horrors awaited? Maya? Leah's small voice broke through her thoughts, filled with both fear and courage. What do we do? A decision had to be made, and with the scarf still fluttering in her grip like a captive spirit, she realized the choice wouldn't just shape their night, it would shape their very lives. Was she ready to confront whatever waited outside? Would facing the truth finally free them or plunge them deeper into nightmare? In that crucial moment, the weight of their collective fears hung in the balance, and Maya knew they'd been given no option but to step forward or shatter completely. Maya felt the air around her grow heavier as silence enveloped the room. The soft creaking of the old house seemed to stretch on, magnifying her heartbeat. Leah's eyes were wide, reflecting not just fear, but an unwavering trust in their mother. Ethan's grip tightened, signaling his own struggle between courage and terror. This was the moment for action, and yet, every fiber of her being resisted the urge to open that door. The banging continued, steady and unrelenting, as if whatever lay beyond was impatient, eager for the confrontation. Are you sure about this? Mr. Whitmore asked, his voice low but insistent. What if it's dangerous? Maya processed the thought, feeling the weight of the faded ink and strange symbols pressing against her. I don't know what's out there, she admitted quietly, her throat tightening. But I can't let fear decide for us. Not again. With a swift movement, she took a step toward the door, her heart racing. Each step felt monumental, as if she were walking toward an abyss where the secrets of her family lay buried. What she didn't want to admit was that some part of her longed for this confrontation. The unknown called to her, whispering that there was truth waiting to be unearthed. Maya, no. Leah cried, her voice breaking. But it was too late. The door shuddered when she placed her hand on the doorknob, as if it recognized her touch. With a deep breath, she turned the knob, pushing the door open with a creak that groaned under the weight of uncertainty. The night air rushed in, cold and sharp, carrying a scent of damp earth mingled with something acrid that made her stomach twist. The light from the living room barely illuminated the dark shapes outside. For a moment, she could see nothing except shadows weaving through the trees. Then, there it was again, that flicker, the glimpse of the shadowy figure lurking just beyond the light's reach. "Maya," Ethan whispered, stepping protectively in front of Leah. The instinct of a big brother burned bright in him. In that instant, a chilling wind swept through the doorway, wrapping around Maya like icy fingers, compelling her to step back. But she couldn't. They all needed her, needed to face whatever it was that had come for them. "Show yourself," she shouted into the darkness, her voice steady, filled with power she hadn't realized was there. For a heartbeat, everything stood still. Then the figure stepped forward, the darkness swirling around it as it broke into the light. Maya gasped as a familiar face emerged. It was Samantha, the woman from the old legends her grandmother used to tell her about. Samantha's eyes were wild, a mix of desperation and sadness that drove the breath from Maya's lungs. "Maya," she rasped, urgency etched in every line of her face. "You don't understand. The scarf, it's poison. You have to listen to me." Panic surged anew as thoughts collided in Maya's mind. What did this mean? The scarf she clutched, woven with inheritances of love and legacy, could it really be a vessel for something so sinister? "Maya, we don't have time," Samantha urged, glancing over her shoulder, fear pulsing in her eyes. "We have to go before it's too late." Everybody exchanged glances, panic swirling in the room like the wind outside. What did they have to face? What did it mean for them? Leah squeezed Maya's hand, fear and love mixing in a potent cocktail of emotion. "Mama, what do we do?" Maya's chest tightened. She felt the world shifting beneath her feet. Their reality teetered on the edge of the unimaginable, over the precipice of fate. In that moment, she understood that the choice was not just hers but theirs, a family united in the face of darkness. Together, Maya finally declared, meeting each of their fearful gazes. "But we need to understand the truth behind the scarf first. Samantha, can you help us?" As the weight of her words unfurled, she sensed the lingering danger, like a shadow pooling at the edges of their hearts. And yet, what waited at the threshold was not just a fight for survival, but a chance to break a cycle that had haunted them for too long. The wind howled again, more desperate this time, as if the night itself were echoing their anxieties. Would they unravel the dark threads binding their fates? Or would the poison seep further, entwining them in its grasp? Maya knew there was only one certainty: they had to unlock the truth of the scarf before it consumed them all. Fear gripped her, even as she braced herself for what lay ahead. Maya took a shaky breath and stepped forward, her heart pounding against her ribcage. The moment felt electric, filled with uncertainty and an underlying hope that somehow everything would turn out okay. Samantha stood there, her wild gaze flickering between Maya, Leah, and Ethan. The tension was thick, and the night seemed to hold its breath with them. "Listen," Samantha urged, her voice a desperate whisper. "There's a reason the scarf was hidden. It wasn't just an heirloom. It was meant to protect you, but it was corrupted. We can't let it stay in your hands. You need to trust me." "Trust you?" Maya said, frustration rising in her. "You're the one who just showed up out of nowhere and said my family heirloom is somehow poisoned." Samantha's eyes softened for a moment, revealing glimmers of sorrow that nodded to a past Maya could scarcely understand. "I know it sounds insane, but I was sent to warn you. Your grandmother knew this day would come." She tried to stop. Leah interrupted, her small voice shaking. "What do we even do? If it's toxic, we can't just give it back to the darkness, right?" Every word sent shivers through Maya. The weight of the scarf felt heavy, and now it was like a chain around her neck. What held such darkness also held her identity, her family, a connection that she had always valued. Samantha's expression hardened. "No. It will only make it worse. We have to contain it, to understand its true nature before anything else. But I can help. There are rituals, ways to cleanse what has been poisoned. Rituals? Ethan frowned, protectively stepping closer to Maya. This sounds like a bad horror movie. What if it backfires? But before Samantha could respond, a wicked gust of wind howled again, making the trees sway dangerously. Maya felt a chill run down her spine, and in that moment, she understood all too well that the evil lurking in the night had never truly left. "Please, Maya," Samantha insisted, her voice urgent. "I can feel its presence. The old stories are true. The scars of the past are more than just tales, they're warnings. You have to make a choice." Maya felt the gravity of the decision weighing her down, pulling her in multiple directions. The scarf shimmered dimly in the flickering light, and she surprised herself by reaching up, pulling it from her neck. She held it in trembling hands, dark threads interwoven with brilliant colors, all tied together with her very essence. What if it was poisoned? She wanted to scream, to throw it away, but something deep inside urged her to understand. What if we fail? Ethan's voice trembled slightly as Leah squeezed his hand, grounding him as fear painted a different story in their minds. What if there's no way to cleanse it? Then we face it, Maya said, firming her resolve, even as doubt danced in her thoughts. Whatever it is, we do it together. Like we always have. Samantha nodded, her expression a blend of approval and urgency. Let us do this. We need to start at first light. There's no more time to waste. But for now, we need to contain it. The vibe in the air shifted, the fear settled into quiet determination, a collective sense of facing the unknown together. Maya's heart raced, but she was not alone. Each of them shared that weight, their lives entangled in both love and legacy. As night deepened around them, a lonely howl echoed in the distance, causing Maya to glance over her shoulder. What was that? Leah's voice quivered. It can hear us, Samantha murmured, a shadow of concern flickering across her face. We need to watch our backs. With renewed anxiety, Maya felt the scarf slip slightly in her grip. She knew the real challenge was just beginning. In the darkness where shadows danced, the fight to reclaim their fate would test them in ways they never imagined. But could the darkness truly be vanquished, or would it entwine deeper, threatening to drown them in despair? Maya wondered if they were truly ready for what awaited them. The uncertainty prickled at her skin as the night whispered secrets she wasn't sure she wanted to know. As the wind howled menacingly, Maya felt the scarf tremble in her hands, responding to something unseen. She could almost hear whispers in the air, faint and ghostly, urging her to reconsider. The darkness around them felt alive. Her heart raced as she glanced at her friends, their faces etched with worry and determination. I don't want to do this," Maya admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. The weight of the scarf grew heavier, threatening to pull her down. "What if I'm making it worse?" "Then we'll face that together too," Ethan said, squeezing her shoulder, his warmth anchoring her momentarily. "We have to believe in each other. We've faced things that scared us before, right?" Leah nodded, her wide eyes sparkling with fear and loyalty. "You're not alone, Maya. Like you said, we always do this together." Samantha moved closer, her gaze intense. "If we're going to do this, we need to take precautions. The rituals will require focus and the right environment. We can't allow distractions." "What do we need?" Ethan asked, lifting his chin, determined to protect the group. Samantha quickly outlined what they would require: salt, candles, and herbs, items she called purifiers. They had to create a sacred space that could ward off any lurking darkness while they delved into the scarf's secrets. "You must separate yourselves from negativity," she urged, taking control. "We'll prepare everything tonight, so we're ready at dawn." With heavy hearts but growing resolve, Maya, Leah, and Ethan split up to gather supplies. The woods felt dense around them, each rustle of a leaf amplifying their anxiety. Maya found herself clutching the scarf tightly, running her fingers over the threads, feeling connected yet terrified by it. When she met back up with Ethan and Leah, they had gathered everything necessary. The dim light from their flashlights highlighted their anxious expressions. "Are we ready for this?" Leah asked, glancing towards the shadows lurking just beyond their light's reach. "As ready as we'll ever be," Maya replied, trying to muster confidence for all their sakes. They arranged the candles in a circle, placing salt in a line around them. It felt almost ceremonial, as if they were stepping into something far beyond their control. The air crackled with anticipation and dread. "Now we need a central focus," Samantha instructed, her tone unwavering as she gestured for Maya to position the scarf at the circle's heart. "Let it represent what we're fighting against. It's more than a poison, it's a part of you." Maya swallowed, tears threatening to spill over. This scarf, once a symbol of her heritage, now embodied the dark power that could threaten everything she loved. She carefully laid it in place, the trembling threads seeming to pulse with a life of their own. Samantha instructed them to sit around the circle, their hands joined, forming a continuous bond. The flickering flames cast eerie shadows, and as they began to hum softly, a chill swept over them. Suddenly, the wind picked up again, swirling furiously as if responding to their gathering. The flames flickered violently, but they pressed on, their voices rising in unison. An energy flowed, linking them, and Maya closed her eyes, praying desperately that they were making the right choice. But amidst the song, a piercing howl echoed once again through the woods, louder and more insistent than before. It felt like an ominous warning, sending ice through Maya's veins. "What was that?" Leah gasped, peeking into the night. "It's here," Samantha breathed. "We need to hurry." The urgency intensified. The darkness was closing in, and with it came a fear that they might be completely unprepared for what they were awakening. In that moment, Maya realized how fragile their hope was. Could they truly cleanse the curse of the scarf, or would the secrets it held bind them to the darkness forever? As the howl rang out once more, desperate and feral, a realization gripped her: something was coming for them. And it was hungry. Maya's heart raced, echoing the desperation in the air. The howl reverberated through the trees, tearing at her resolve. Every instinct screamed to flee. Yet here she was, surrounded by family, the scarf shimmering ominously in the center of their circle. "Stay focused," Samantha urged, her voice strained but resolute. "We summon our strength now." The group tightened their grip on one another's hands, hearts beating in sync, forming an unbreakable bond against the darkness. As they hummed together, the soothing rhythm grew louder, pulsating like a heartbeat through the ground beneath them. Maya inhaled deeply, centering herself. "This is our chance," she thought. "To break the cycle." Each note of their chant vibrated through her, lifting her spirit above the fear pooling below. The shadows danced menacingly, but a flicker of hope ignited within her, a warmth spreading from her heart to the fingertips gripping those around her. "Look!" Leah's voice broke through the haze as she pointed. "The scarf, it's glowing." Maya's breath caught as the fabric pulsed with light, the dark threads intertwining with radiant colors. It felt like a bridge weaving between her past and present. A memory struck her, a moment from her childhood when she had first received the scarf, a promise of heritage and love. It was never meant to hold darkness, but to remind her of strength inherited through generations. Samantha's eyes widened. "It's interacting with you," she shouted over the wind, clenching her jaw. "Focus on that connection." "What does it say?" Maya's mind whirled as she grasped the truth. "It speaks of family. Of perseverance against hardship." She felt the shared energy of their beings, all intertwined, half of her weight lifted as memories poured out. "We're bound together by love, not fear." The howl outside intensified, raging against their ritual. "We have to finish the chant," Maya urged, positioning her vision on the scarf glowing in the center. "With love in our hearts, we can cleanse the poison. They forged ahead, voices rising stronger than the storm around them, as the scarf seemed to pulse in rhythm with their unified call. Suddenly, the winds shifted, catching the edges of their circle. A dark silhouette loomed closer, drawn to their energy. And just as fear started gripping them once more, something shifted. Light broke from the scarf, brighter, wrapping around their hands like a sacred shield. "Stand firm!" Samantha cried, glancing at the approaching darkness. "We are stronger together." Maya felt a swell of courage wash through her. This was her moment. "We are family," she proclaimed, the words roaring like thunder. "We do not bow down to darkness." Just then, the howl of despair morphed, becoming shrill and lost as it collided with their chant. The darkness hesitated, teetering at the edge of the light radiating from the scarf, light that now seemed to reflect the very essence of their collective memories: joy, hardship, laughter, love. "Keep going!" Ethan shouted, his energy spurring them on. The silence that followed held a mix of hope and defiance, a pivotal moment poised on the edge of the abyss. They poured everything into their chant, igniting memories of every triumph they had faced, their unwavering bond becoming their weapon against the oncoming darkness. Until finally, the shadows began to dissipate, retreating into the depths of the forest like a nightmare fleeing morning light. With one last breath, they sang the final note. The darkness shattered like glass, fragments bursting into sparks, showering the night with light. The echoes of their chant lingered in the air, woven into the fabric of their reality. Maya collapsed to her knees, shaking, the scarf now gently pulsing at her feet, its glow fading but tangible. "Did it work?" Leah asked, tears glistening but hope illuminating her eyes. Samantha knelt beside Maya, wrapping an arm around her. "Yes. The poison has been cleansed." A look of relief washed over her. "You've broken the cycle." Maya looked around, seeing her children illuminated by soft moonlight, the worry replaced with newfound strength. "We did it, together," she whispered, her heart swelling against the backdrop of a new dawn breaking across the horizon. As the first rays of sunlight painted the sky, the sense of peace returned. The vibrant colors of the scarf were now a reminder of their unity, a testament to love conquering darkness. They were family, with a bond unshakable, powerful, and pure. No longer defined by fear, they set forth into a future filled with possibility. Maya looked forward, ready to embrace new beginnings, grateful for each moment they had shared, knowing that their strength truly thrived in togetherness. This was not just an end, but a beautiful beginning. And now, dear friends, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel to keep witnessing these amazing transformations. Leave a like now. Seriously, every click feeds the algorithm and helps us grow. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to feel the power of unity and love. Let us spread this message together.